Alright, let's dive into something that's been buzzing in the wrestling world lately, and personally, I think it's a pretty big deal. So, The Undertaker, The Undertaker, has apparently had enough of podcasting. Now, if you're like me, your first reaction might be, wait, Undertaker had a podcast. But yeah, he did. It's called 6 Feet Under, and honestly, it's not bad. But here's the kicker, in a recent interview, he basically said he'd rather pull a tooth than do another episode. And you know what? I get it. Let me break this down for you. First off, let's talk about the bigger picture here. The Undertaker is a legend, a guy who built his entire career on this larger-than-life, almost supernatural gimmick. For decades, he was the guy who never broke character, the guy who kept the mystique alive. So, when he retired and started doing a podcast, it felt weird. Like, really weird. Personally, I think it's a testament to how much the wrestling business has changed. Back in the day, the idea of Undertaker sitting down to chat casually would have been unthinkable. But now? It's just another Tuesday. And that's both fascinating and a little sad, if you ask me. What makes this really interesting is Undertaker's attitude toward it. He didn't exactly sugarcoat things when he said he'd rather go to the dentist than record another episode. And you know what? I respect that honesty. It's not like he needs the podcast. The guy's a legend, he's got other ventures, like his role as head of creative for AAA, which, by the way, he's killing it at. So, why stick around with something he's clearly not enjoying? From my perspective, it's a smart move. Why waste time on something that doesn't light your fire when you could be focusing on what really matters? But here's where it gets deeper. Undertaker's podcast fatigue raises a bigger question about the state of wrestling today. Podcasts have become the thing for retired wrestlers. Everyone's got one. And while some are great, others feel like cash grabs or vanity projects. Personally, I think Undertaker's honesty here is a wake-up call. Not everything needs to be a podcast. Sometimes, it's okay to let the mystique stay intact. I mean, if you take a step back and think about it, part of what made Undertaker so iconic was the mystery. The less we knew about him, the more we wanted to know. Now, we've got him chatting about his favorite pizza toppings. It's a different world, for sure. One thing that immediately stands out is how this ties into Undertaker's post-wrestling career. He's not just sitting around, he's actively shaping the industry, especially with his work in AAA. And honestly, that's where his energy should be. What many people don't realize is that creative roles like his are where the real impact happens. It's not just about being in the ring, it's about building the next generation of stars. So, if podcasting is getting in the way of that, good for him for stepping back. It's a reminder that even legends have to prioritize. A detail I find fascinating is how Undertaker's comments reflect a broader trend in wrestling. The line between performer and personality has blurred so much that it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. And while that's great for accessibility, it can also dilute what made wrestling so special in the first place. In my opinion, Undertaker's decision to step away from the podcast is a small but significant pushback against that. It's like his saying, hey, remember when wrestling was about the magic? Let's not forget that. So, where does this leave us? Personally, I think Undertaker's podcast run was an interesting experiment, but it's time to move on. What this really suggests is that even legends need to evolve, and sometimes, that means letting go of things that don't serve them anymore. As for the wrestling world, maybe it's a reminder to focus on what truly matters, the stories, the characters, the magic. Because at the end of the day, that's why we fell in love with this crazy business in the first place. What do you think? Is Undertaker making the right call? Let me know in the comments below.